Hey traders, welcome to another edition of the Crypto Lab with Alex, featured by Trading Analysis. As usual, we are going to go over the macro environment and then we're going to switch to cryptos. If you have any comments or if you have some your favorite crypto, you can post it in the comment box so I can look at it later for you. So let's dive in. Let's look what is going on in the macro environment, which we established already definitely affects crypto markets. We still didn't reach the decoupling point between the cryptos and the overall stock market. So we will go a little bit into that, looking the latest correlation between the SMH or the semiconductor sector or ETF and Bitcoin, Bitcoin on the end of this macro review. Let's start with the Fed. Fed meeting next. It's 15th of June. As you can see on the screen, 98.5% of chance for Fed hiking 50 basis points. Fed was pretty much clear they're going to pursue the rates until they see inflation coming off. So if that means some type of a demand destruction, I think they're willing to do that, or a small recession, but we don't see a soft landing, as they call it, so far. This is almost a sure thing. Of course, it will be very interesting and very important what the Jerome Powell will say on the press conference afterwards. If we switch to 27th of July, 89.5%, they're gonna raise rates another 50 basis points. So we will be, if this comes through, around the end of July, around 1.75 to 2%. As we know, the latest CPI reading was 8.3, so they're still behind, but there is some signs in some pockets that inflation is coming off. So we will see how that will go. Energy prices are still high due to a highly volatile war between the Russia and Ukraine, and I think until we find a way either to supply more energy on the market, this will affect inflation in the months to come, which is pretty logical. Energy prices are going into almost every sector. So the question is, after the July meeting, we are looking for 60% now here for another 50 basis points move. This might change until September. We might see various data until September, which might change this picture. So I will focus with these two, which are currently predicting two 50 basis points rate increase, and surely the 10-year yields, which we look are looking to continue higher. We were looking that for the last couple of weeks in the Crypto Lab. So if you look in general, we do see this as a kind of a topish process with a fifth wave further on the upside. We can count this 5-wave move on the upside from the COVID low. And of course, if you look the overall chart on the weekly level, we are trading higher in this range, which comes around 1.38 and ends around 4%. So this is the longer term chart of this deflationary period that we were for the last almost 40 years. Definitely we have a 5-wave move that is not so questionable currently, but I think, as I said, we are going to come into a pause. Maybe one more small move on the upside up to 3.5, maybe a little bit higher, but I think this is a relatively strong area paired with this RSI, which was pretty consistent on this weekly level during the last 40 years, looking for reversals. So we are already trading a little bit lower. I do expect some type of a wave 5 to move higher and RSI to stay and not reach the previous highs, and then I do expect some type of a pause until the end of 2022 and beginning of 2023. How this pause will unfold, I'm guessing it's going to be a triangle until we see some resolution, either in the geopolitical spectrum, or we see demand destruction starts to look nasty, and actually inflation goes a bit lower. So I will not look for a move down to 1.3. Of course, in the case that we find or they find some peaceful solution, or at least sit at the table in the Ukraine-Russian conflict, we might even get lower. But for now, this is not clearly on the table, so we have to look for some more modest consolidation than such a relatively bigger fall down to these support levels. Situation in the European 10-year Bund, so this is the German 10-year Bund, which is equivalent of the US counterpart. So we are looking for a wave 3 to unfold here. Madame Lagarde starting to be very vocal on a change of monetary policy in the ECB. They're still doing QE, I think 20 billion a month. So of course they will need first to stop that, but they might change the narrative either in July or in September, and that will be interesting to see. Anyhow, market is looking for rates to go higher. Now we have reason to believe, looking this wave structure, that we are going into a third wave, and we might come close to 1.5, 1.6 until we see some pullback, and then when we see a 5-wave sequence, we will get in these 2-3 years potentially 2 legs on the upside, potentially as an ABC here, looking further on the upside. So I don't want to be too hawkish or bullish on the rates beyond this. I think this in Europe will be already pretty high over the next year and a half. Looking technically, let's look first for the 5-wave move to complete, and then we will have a basis to see how this will unfold most likely in the future. If we look the dollar index, still in a corrective mode, so we do see a potential 5th wave on the upside. I have a modest target for this 5th wave around 106 to 108. A higher target comes between 111 and 113, which will be of course very detrimental either for US or for the emerging market countries. US because of course exports, and emerging market because lots of these companies has a dollar denominated debt. So higher dollar price usually wreaks havoc into a dollar liquidity and emerging market. So I will not call for that higher prices for now. I will be more modest. Even we can argue that we might finish the wave 3 finish here and then some type of a consolidation triangle or something else, but I don't see anything for now which are telling us actually that we can anchor this wave 5 here, and that we can say that actually dollar is done on the upside. We certainly do not have any conditions here yet, and also looking the rates going higher, we can pair that with this 4th wave and a little bit more upside on the dollar index, and then we might see some change, as you can see on the wave count. So Thomson Reuters CRB index. As you know, I've been looking for a 5th wave on the upside, and we are still in this process. I think this will be the highs until this 5th wave plays out. I do see, as I see on the rates, pause in price of commodities. 5 waves up definitely comes very looks kind of a very topish. So let's look some of the Fib ratios for the potential target of the wave 5 on the upside. Let me just look some of the levels we might see this. Let's take our extension tool and let's project this on the upside, see where these targets might come for the Thomson Reuters index. So let me just look. So one is already passed, so the second one comes around 374. We are trading in 320, so a little bit more upside for this wave A or 1. I cannot tell that in this moment. I like to be relatively more modest in looking this. So 5-wave sequence down, we're going to have some type of either complex or triangulation pullback. So support area comes back to 217, where the previous wave 4 was, or 220, 25. So that's kind of a range. So I also do think that this will fall into some type of either a long complex correction or a triangle before potentially we continue even further higher, slightly above this previous A level when it's complete. If we look the net gas, we are slowly coming to our prices target here. We have a beautiful wave 1 and 2 up in 3 already kind of in a completing phase. So we do look a little bit more upside, even maybe a slight overthrow, and then some type of a consolidation in this wave 4, maybe during summertime. And then if we start from September, comes to January, February, where the gas is needed, of course, because of winter. That depends how the winter will be strong. Are we still in this geopolitical setup that we are now? But actually, technically, we can look for high prices after this summer passes slowly around September, October, and this consolidation plays out. We might see net gas coming around 14, 15 during these couple of months and actually complete this sequence on the upside. Let's look at the oil chart. So oil is still consolidating here. If this is some type of a triangle or some type of a correction, we still cannot tell. As I said, I still look oil to be bullish. Looking this longer term chart, potentially we are in the intermediary wave 3, 4, and 5. Or a primary if you count only this sequence, and now we have the intermediary 5-wave move development. If this stays and consolidates further, this might turn out to be a triangle, which is a continuation pattern, which means we're going to see higher prices. So lower levels, of course, we need to keep for a triangle will be around 98.62. And of course, breakout will be above the previous highs around 137.82, I think is a correct level. Let me just be precise, 137.82, yeah. So this is of course Brent crude oil. And if we look this whole chart, we can put it on a line chart and look the monthly developments. It's a very long chart from almost 1982. I don't know if that is correct, like it is. Probably it is. There has been some data going back, but as you can see, this is the third industrial revolution. Oil becomes a main engine of the human progress in the 20th century. And you see what actually has developed with the oil price. We have a 1-2, a very nice subdivision in a wave, intermediary wave 3 and 5 waves. We have a nice pullback, COVID lows, and then we have a continuation on the upside without reaching still a new high. So I do think this is overall in the next couple of years a 5-wave move towards actually reaching this wave 5 target after we might see a starting of the new down phase. But of course it is not being, I think, wise to call that currently because we still have this geopolitical turmoil, and also the production capacities are not still aligned to produce much more to actually solve this matter efficiently. Let's look at chart of Nasdaq and SMH. So SMH as a part of Nasdaq. So as you can see, a relatively nice correlation with the Bitcoin in the last couple of months, even a few years back. So we do see some type of a bounce on the upside in Bitcoin in the last 2 days, and also SMH bounced as well. Is this end of this correction? I don't think so yet. So I do think still we have a little bit more downside. This can be some type of X wave, which I look on the Nasdaq. Of course, this is a tricky thing when you have just a 3-wave pullback. So we don't have for now a continuation on the downside. So what does it mean? You can also look our Wednesday stream when Bennett and Terry are explaining, and Todd yesterday explained how they view the stock market. They also mentioned this X wave, and I compare that also with the Bitcoin chart. And I think it's a kind of a relatively possible because of the conditions that we have currently. So this will be an ABC. If we stay, we traded around equality. As you can see, that's what we call the measured move, which means that this leg and this leg are equal. We had a small penetration of the downside level. That's quite normal when you have this volatility. And we do expect some type of a 3-wave bounce, which will be looking something like this. This might unfold actually very fast because the X wave are usually designed as a bull trap. Oh, sorry, wrong button. So the X-ray usually comes and there appears like very bullish on the upside, and they might prove as just a trap in a 3-wave, which we usually label as an X-wave, and that is actually connects the 2 zigzags, and that's why we call it a more complex correction. So this is the first zigzag, this is a connecting wave X, and this is the secondary zigzag, which will basically prolong this correction for some time, and we will come down to around 10,000 in this region. So we don't see yet a 5-wave move to the downside, which will call for a further crash in the stock market. This is still an ongoing affair. We need to see this X wave to completely actually become bullish, because any 3-wave structure here and 3-wave structure on the upside suggests that this will be turning either in triangle or a complex correction, which on the end will actually, when it's completed, continue higher. So we don't see evidence here that the stock market has actually posed a significant cycle top, because we don't see 5 waves down. It's simple as that. So until we see that as Elliotticians, we are not going to call for a further downside, especially when we hold equality. We are more keen to look for a complex corrective pullback, most likely looking the environment. Of course, this can change. I mean, this is usually very tricky to go and announce that in advance, but I do pair this with a couple of things on Bitcoin, which I will show you, and this might play out. It's just one of my solutions how this might end. But the conclusion here is that this is still not enough for us to conclude that the stock market has stopped here, and we're going to have a couple of years of a bear market on the downside, even testing this COVID low. So for now, that is not the case. Okay. So let's go and see gold and silver, so I don't forget them later. I usually go from the Bitcoin in the middle, remembering that I forgot gold and silver. So gold still, we label this as a wave 2, but we don't have really a solid bounce in 5 waves to actually conclude this and actually confirm this triangle and a 5 waves up and a pullback. So this needs to challenge in 5 waves this swing high, previous swing high, and then I will look for a pullback, and the probability will be more in hindsight for the bullish gold wave count. So for now, we don't see that. We are seeing relatively slow price action in gold, and I think it's going to keep it like this like this for some time. Are we going to see a 5 waves? I don't know that yet. The bearish case scenario is that this is some type of a WXY, or A up in B down in C, in some type of a flat. So in the case of WXY, this will be a 5 waves down in A, up in B, down in C. So for the both labels, basically, which people like to correct me, I usually say look for the context. Of course, we have 40+ years in trading analysis dealing with Elliott. Each of one of us has a 10-15 years experience. So for us in general, when we follow a trend, this type of corrections can turn into any labeling, ABC, WXY, when they actually satisfy a basic conditions with a certain levels and a certain structure. So we look for a context because we want to know where the downtrend will actually complete, so we can go and trade it further in the direction of a trend. We don't think that this trend in gold is over. We think it's going to go higher, but we do see some weakness here, especially when the war started in Ukraine. Gold should be already much higher, and that didn't happen, and I was very vocal about it back in February. So can we label this wave 2? Yes, we can, because we didn't trade below the beginning of the wave 1, so that's kind of a good. We don't like to see this 88.8% retracement, only in the case of flat, and this is not a flat. We can tolerate it because we bounced back immediately above 786, so we are kind of just looking, are we going to develop finally some price action in gold, because this has been a really long consolidation starting from 2020 in August, as you can see. So already 2 years, we are just with a relatively nice range, looking the grass grow on gold, as Terry is actually coined that when we traded or looked Bitcoin in 2017 and 18. So silver is pretty much the same, 400 or even more days support levels. We don't see any sizable bounce. I mean, this is a bounce, but it is still not challenging the previous swing high in 5 waves. Same situation as in gold. This also can collapse further lower after a small correction towards this 50% retracement from this move on the upside, which comes around between 17 and 19. So I'm still waiting here on gold and silver to see how this will unfold. Any 5-wave move on the upside challenging that will, of course, switch me to a bullish side on a pullback, and the risk is small. Of course, if I see this tries to go or tends, if it starts to go sideways or just test this 200 moving average on daily and then collapse downside, I will have a little bit lower targets below this immense support levels. So this is the bigger chart in case you didn't see it on silver. I just switch back and forth just to make this stream a little bit more interesting. That's all. I don't know. Many of you have just commented, we don't need to see your face, just your charts. So that's fine completely. Okay, so let's switch to cryptos, guys. I'm going to start with the total crypto market cap. It's a bit dark here. Let me just bring some light. Let's look for a total crypto market cap. Still the same outlook. We don't think that we are in some higher topish process here. Many people are calling this a top, and then we go back to 3K, 10K. We are not in that movie in our head so far. What we look currently is that this is still a part of a corrective process, which is actually pairing this wave 2. The timing is relatively still okay. We will observe this as a complex correction, potentially a little bit lower, or it will be some type of A up in B and some type of an ending diagonal in C. So we are left with this couple of solutions, which might justify a bounce up in the X wave in Nasdaq, and then when we see later on ABC pull back down for the Y wave in Nasdaq, we might see this as a 1-2, down in 3, up in 4, and ABC pull back down actually to these levels, and then a continuation on the upside with the stocks. Okay, we warned about this, of course, when we were in the bullish sentiment in 2021. We said for us, crypto winter is starting here, not here. This was just another fake bullish sentiment on the upside, looking for a further advance in November towards 100K. Many retail was devastated on this move on the downside, and it's still going to be devastated up to and when we start to post a basing process and actually see some signs of a reversal on the upside. But the main takeaway is that we see a couple of things like RSI on weekly. We also see a couple of plethora support levels here on the Bitcoin, which I will show you around between 20 and 22K. So this kind of suggests we're going to scramble a little bit here, maybe make some basic process with a little bit more downside, or a fourth wave in ending diagonal, a further move back, and then we're going to see signs potentially for this fifth wave to develop on the upside with the stock market. So if we switch to Bitcoin, I think most of you already know our overall view on Bitcoin. It has been a very consistent over last couple of years. So I had this as a triangle or as a complex corrective pullback already from here, as you know, since the crypto winter started for us here, when the sentiment was the most bullish one, and as the sentiment now becomes very bearish, of course we will look for a reversal, and that's the nature of the Elliott Wave. You want to be on the other side of the trade when masses actually capitulate in the sentiment like they did here. This was 99.9% of the market was bullish here. A little bit less was bullish here, and of course, as we see the environment and the sentiment starts to become very bearish, and there is some people even calling below 10K targets, 3K, and all other stuff. We don't see any evidence for that. Of course, we don't want to go over our already 2-year successful tracking of the Bitcoin price. So the wave count validation for us comes around 13,700 or a little bit less. This is this high according to the Elliott Wave rules. Wave 4 cannot enter the territory of the Wave 2 or the high of the Wave 1. Depends how you like it. So 200 moving averages here around 22. We have a base channel. We have a couple of ratios which are forming a very nice cluster. So we do think if the stock market posts the wave X, we're going to see a little bit more upside, and then a final ABC, and then we're going to see a further developments on the upside in the fifth wave, which will be a terminal wave for the Bitcoin. So the price on the upside, we will deal with it, where we can go. So we can range. So let's first see what is going to go here and then talk about the potential higher targets until I don't want to talk about that until this process is actually done. So other solutions which we track for the Bitcoin, it doesn't differ so much. It's just an ABC instead of flat. So the difference is just the labeling. The target is the same and the levels for this wave 4. So everything is basically the same. We see the RSI on this weekly touching a very low levels, which is a first sign of a potential basing process and a reversal. We see a couple of instances before what has happened here, 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 and we do expect here to happen the same thing to actually occur. We don't see this as a completing high on a Bitcoin. We do look for a couple of years more in advance with a couple of bigger corrections also coming our way in the next couple of years, but we will talk that, of course, as the years goes by. So 200 moving average on weekly phenomenally keeps this lows, and we expect the same to happen here. Time ratio between the wave 2 here and wave 4 is still within the range we like to see. The RSI is at low. We have a base channel. We also have a plethora of another ratios of the lower and higher degree, which actually tells us that this will be a very, very hard spot to break on the downside. And we do think this will not happen. Of course, here we will wait for 5 waves up, challenging this previous swing high, a pullback, and then Bitcoin will open the space for itself to continue further higher towards above level of 70. And we have a couple of targets. We will talk about that when we actually identify this end of this basing process. So this chart differs just a little. This will be otherwise, which I have shown you, ending diagonal. So it will be down in A, up in B, down in C in a diagonal, which will make this flat. WXY is just a complex correction. And then it has 5 waves down in A, up in B, down in C, because the wave structure also resembles that. I mean, you can count this as an ABC, or you can count it as a 5 waves. You cannot know actually the difference. So basically, I don't see also the difference between these 2 wave counts, because the targets are the same. So we don't want, of course, to be involved here except a small trades with a small risk. What we want to do, we want to start to look how the Bitcoin will react here, and then eventually start buying and increasing our risk on the upside. So that is how do we see it best, potentially to catch this final push on the upside. So Ethereum chart, I have been asked a lot of questions regarding Ethereum chart. So I have posted the potential reversal point here, at least for a bounce. So people ask me how this might unfold. So I will show you 2 versions also with a lesser and maybe a more probable, I will say, development. So Ether, the same thing. We can do WXY. 1, 2, we do see this as same as Bitcoin, because they have a high correlation chart. So this will be a wave 1 and 2. 200 moving average, although it's lower on Ether, it's around 1,000, and depends how do we count this. We can also agree that either we stop here, we do some mumbo jumbo, and then we turn this into a ending diagonal here, which actually finishes around this level, which is 1054. The ratio of 100% is here exactly at 1600, which is one of the possible resting place also for the wave 5. So we will see that, of course, what will develop post these lows, but we think we're going to see some type of a reversal, either stronger or less stronger in Ether very soon. Okay, so we do consider this as well to be a corrective, not impulsive on the downside. We don't see a 5 waves like we don't see on Nasdaq. If, for example, we will see something like this from highs in the months to come, a 5 wave sequence, then the things will change. We will become increasingly bearish on Ether, but as you can see, we can only count 3 waves. So there is a wave 1 and 2, and if this starts to be more exuberant, passing 1000, we will become very bearish on Ether, because with the methodology we use, this will mean that we're going to have a 5 waves down, we're going to have a 3 waves pullback, and then we're going to have at least another 5 waves down for a measured move, which means we're going to go back to, I don't know, 100 or a little bit above. We are not, I'm repeating, we are not in that scenario yet. We have only 3 waves from these highs, and moreover, we think this is a part of a larger correction when the crypto winter started. Okay, so we don't think that Ether is bearish for now. Same kind of a data, RSI on this weekly is starting to be very low. we expect either here or a little bit lower a basing process to start, and then we will wait for signs, of course, with the stocks and a little bit of more more bullish narrative or environment that Ether will start to exhibit an evidence of the 5 waves up, challenging this swing high around 3,200, and then have a 3-wave pullback for the second wave, potentially lows, before we start to go vertically up in the third wave. So same conclusion as the Bitcoin. We do treat this as a correction, and we do treat this as a part of this sequence here, which is basically started in the end of 2018. So we specifically look for a 5-wave move here from these lows in a 1, 2, up in 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so just to be clear. So yeah, so that concludes the main part of the presentation. So we do see at Trading Analysis the environment very important, since the crypto markets are linked with risk off, risk on sentiment in current environment, which I've been looking already for a year and a half, stressing out in Crypto Labs that we need to look where the money will come from. And what is the environment for that in order to push cryptos higher. Of course, retail is pretty devastated by this move lower, which is basically, I know it's hard to say, but due to a large experience we have, the fourth waves can become very tricky, either in triangle or this type of complex things. And if you are not aware of that, you might get hurt in this type of markets. So yeah, so we were going to continue to watch the macro environment. Of course, the macro environment, which will be positive for cryptos, will manifest a couple of weeks later, or a month, even 2 later, than we post a significant low. But with our members, we're going to watch and start anticipating that, looking for technicals, and of course sentiment, and we expect sentiment to become maybe even more a little more bearish in the weeks to come, and when this X wave in the Nasdaq actually unfolds. So if you like to, of course, visit our work, you can visit Trading Analysis website. We have a trial, I think it's $27. We have a Discord, members, webinars, Crypto Lab, name it. We basically have it all. And we have a very solid and good track record, keeping our clients out of these markets. Most of them are very poised to catch this move on the upside, and they've been waiting patiently and watching this destruction during this fourth wave in the crypto markets. So let me go to your question and comments. Try to look also for some type of your favorite cryptos and look the charts for you. Yeah, Lawrence, nice to see you too. Thank you guys for being with me. Andrew, Ivan. Ivan says, hi Alex, I never caught you live before. Thank you for your level-headed heavy work. Thank you, Ivan. I try to be to use my experience and let's say a relatively good standard in the Elliott Wave work. We do a trading analysis. We are stripped out of any hype. We do look that from the very scientific point of view, looking especially at the sentiment. So as I said, we have enormous experience in the Elliott Wave, combining a couple of guys which are on the market for 15-20 years. So we are very well aware through also our mistakes what the sentiment can do to a trader, and also how this correction can be devastating for clients. So we try to be very level-headed and sane, especially for our members. So Bitcoin, does the wave 4 end at the low around 20-23K? This I don't think can be any more a triangle. because we had two solutions actually from 2021, and you can look that on my Twitter feed. We looked for a triangle or a complex one. What is the point of me giving you 10 solutions? I mean, you can go and make 10 structures here, but there is no point of that. That's why I look carefully macro environment and the small details we recognize. And so far it has been working nicely. So I don't think this is a triangle because we have a wave. If this was a wave A, up in B, down in C, we have an invalidation of the A wave. So I don't think we are anymore in triangle, simple as that. 22 to 23K, as I explained, it's a support visible from the Elon Musk space floating car. I mean, these guys any guy, even with the basic technicals, will recognize this. And when you see how many things we include here, either from technical perspective and the Elliott Wave perspective and the Fibonacci ratios, you can see the clustering. I mean, there is 4 ratios clustering in the close proximity here. We have a weekly 200 moving average. We have the RSI at 30, and the last bounced on the upside was around that level. So I mean, it's so visible, guys. I'm a little bit scared that we might even not go to that levels because this is so visible. You know, I mean, this is like screaming. You cannot get better support than this one, in my opinion. And all of these secondary things that we also have a base channel support. I mean, I don't know, you cannot think of it more of supports than what is actually focused here between 20 and 23K. Yeah, I mean, in the ending diagonal solution, if we get this basic X wave, we might go to, I don't know if we're going to go for 40K. Let me see. So 32, 33 will be a wave 4 will enter into the territory of the wave 1, which is allowed in the ending diagonal, or I will say it's not allowed, it is necessary that we have a wave 4 going into the territory, crossing the, in this case, lows of the wave 1 and enter the territory of this wave 2. Of course, it cannot go above it because it will invalidate the ending diagonal. But in some extreme cases, we can see this as a move up. I don't know if it's going to go to 40K, maybe 35, depends on the angle. So that's all depends how this inside will unfold. Okay. So in that case, we will see a little bit, maybe here maybe this is some triangulation or something else, and then we will see another move up, and that will be it. So when the Nasdaq starts to develop ABC on the downside, which I already mentioned here as a possibility, as you can see, I do pair that with this Y wave. I pair that with this ABC down on the Bitcoin. It might be true, it might be not. So far, Bitcoin has held well, in my opinion, relatively well, let's say. If you look how destructive this follow was, I think 25 trillions is erased from markets in the last couple of 7 or 9 weeks. So I do think this will be maybe, it's a hypothesis for now, but it's kind of match. And I did have a couple of success watching this and trying to clue the structures and pair them actually with the potential development on the linked market. So yeah, that will be the case. We will pop up above this, and then we will stay for some time, and then we'll go down in A, up in B, down in C, and actually we will complete this in a very bearish sentiment, and actually this will be the potential lows. Andre, that's a very tricky question. Andre is asking how long do I think Bitcoin stocks market positive correlation. I think that Bitcoin needs to decouple in a more use case scenario, diverging from the risk off, risk on, and that will definitely be the case of the wider adoption, either as a currency, which we don't see it's happening for now. So for now, they're going to stay linked, I think, or some law regulations. Okay, so that can be some other thing that they can delink this, but for now they stay pretty linked as we see. So even, I mean, Bitcoin and dollar, I have been opposing this correlation for a long time, because if you measure 10 years, they don't have a good coefficient of correlation, but in the last 2 years they have, okay? So if you measure 2 years, like some these crypto smart guys are doing, measure correlation 2 years, it's simply not enough, but never mind, let's say from this point, they are pretty, let's say, linked. The structure differs. This is the rapid Fed movements in rates lower in March 2020, of course, COVID. And then we have a swap lines. And then we have a dollar moves lower, Bitcoin moves up. And then we have a dollar goes higher, Bitcoin moves down. It's a different wave structure. The degree of correlation is bigger from this, but the things that affect cryptos and the things affect dollar are quite different. That's the first thing. And secondary thing, I think that owners, longer term owners of Bitcoin, which has a philosophy of a store of value or other type of narrative, will never exchange their Bitcoin for dollars again. So I don't think this correlation stands, but we have to watch it. And if we put that in the context of the current developments, this will be some type of a pullback in wave 4, wave 5. Actually, dollar tops, Bitcoin posted post lows, and then we reverse the roles. Okay. Yeah, let's look Solana. Solana, I look for a pullback. Basically ABC pullback. I think it's going on in Solana. Let's look. So Solana, dollar. So I don't look for a potential 5-way move. So there is a 5-way move down, a pullback, and then we look for another 5-way move down. So we didn't post a new lows, maybe a little bit lower. For now, we look this as a 3-way pullback in Solana. I see ICP. Let me see that one. ICP. Let me try to find it here. Oh, I don't know if this is the one. Did I looked correctly at your request? Let me just look. No, I missed it. I will look into it. Don't worry, Adnan. You don't have to be that polite. ICP. ICP dollar. Yeah, ICP US dollar. Yeah, I don't know. Still in a downtrend. This still doesn't have a 5-way move, so I think a little bit more downside before some bounce. Okay. So even if you watch just this sequence, you will see potentially wave 1, wave 2, some type of a wave 3, 4. I don't know, even a flat is possible, but still a downtrend, as you can see. So I will look for break of this nice trend line, which connects this line. So 5 waves up and a pullback will give me some confidence. This might continue a little bit more higher for now. We don't see any signs of reversal there. So yeah, so ADA didn't display still a solid 5-way move on the upside. We have reached our target. We even can go a little bit lower, depends how you watch this. I can look this either as a 5-way move, and this is some type of an ABC. But as you can see here, we still don't see 5 waves up in ADA. We see only 3 waves. So this might turn also complex ABC, X, ABC, and then one more move lower until I see a challenge of this previous swing high in 5 waves. I will be not looking for ADA going higher until I see these conditions fulfilled. Okay. Tronics, yeah, Tronic is holding good. We look Tronics and the members webinar. We do look and track, I don't know, 50, 70 cryptos for our members. So we look a long list of cryptos. So yeah, Tronics is holding good, especially when it starts to serve as a cheaper way to move ERC20s. So 5 waves up, potentially a second wave down. We might experience, if the Bitcoin goes down, a little bit more downside. But this potentially can be a leading diagonal with a pullback and then continuation higher. So for now, it's holding good. Any prolongation of that will turn this into a correction and then even lower levels. But let's see. For now, I'm not pulling any trigger on it yet because we are still trading in this range. And I do not see anything still so impulsive on the upside. So I'm kind of in a waiting mode, but this looks as a potential good support level if we go a little bit more lower on that one. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look one more and that's it, guys. So we are already almost 1 hour. So let's look Mina. I don't think I looked that one. Well, it has a new low. Let me see if there is a longer term chart of this one. Mina, Mina dollar, Mina calculated by, no, it does not. Actually, this is the biggest chart we have or on data. Yeah, sometimes this happens, guys. 5 waves up, and then you have almost 5 waves down. Very strange things. So I can look this as some type of a flat, an ABC movement lower. Is this is done? We don't still have any signs. Is this is a new high? 1, 2, down in 3, 4, maybe a little bit more downside. Let me just see if this is a new high here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think it is. So we can anchor wave A, maybe 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then some type of 5 waves down. So for now, if you isolate the sequence, let me just remove all of this and show you just this sequence here. I need to pay some more time to decipher this, which I don't have currently. So I will just do this sequence for you. And looking the current developments, clearly we have some type of wave 4 and wave 5. So it will be more downside because maybe wave 3 finished here. We might see ABC pullback or something more complex. So I see one more push on the downside here. Very possible if you dissect these lower time frames, you will see clearly that potentially we still didn't finish the movement on the downside. Okay, so let me just make this not intermediary, make this minor, and put this in a yellow so you can see just a basic structure. So there is a 5 waves down in one, a small pullback, and then we have, even if you consider this all wave 1 and 2 up in 3, 4 and 5, you will need to see some larger 5 waves up to actually nullify this wave count. So until the trend is still lower and you don't see any signs of a reversal, I will stay with the downtrend yet, looking for a possible wave 4 and wave 5 lower. I need to see clearly 5 waves up, reaching some of these levels, these previous swing highs. This attempt failed a bit, so I will look for a 5 waves, and then a pullback will be something which is tradable, at least in my world. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for the attention. We will keep this correction on site for our members and for our viewers on the Crypto Lab. Everybody which tracks trading analysis YouTube channel. I might, as I said, I might try to find a couple of guests to bring. I'm starting to be myself boring of me, let alone you've been boring of me, I guess. So maybe we can shake some things up, call some guests to see their view, maybe different point of view than the Elliott Wave and this mix of macro and cryptos. So I will work really hard. I called a couple of guys, but they didn't even answer the email. So I will try to find a few which has a different tools so that you can see their view and make things a little bit more interesting, either for the next time or the second week. So I will make some effort to do that for you. So thank you guys for being with us every Tuesday. I do appreciate your comments, of course, even bad ones. That's how we do, because I mean we are at public, we are exposed with our overview, and of course it is normal to get also an opposing opinion or that people doesn't like what we do. So hit the like button, subscribe, and keep tracking us. I think, of course, you cannot be sure, but I think we are close, and I think we are going to be able, I hope, to spot when this sentiment starts to point out of a reversal. I mean, not very easy to utter these words, so that is extremely difficult to do. But I'm just expressing my thoughts. I've been thinking these last couple of days how this sentiment works always in opposition what the people think. So majority of the I will not say the crowd, but the people involved will usually think one thing happens and actually it happens something completely else is happening, because this sentiment drives, it's very sensitive. And in the most bullish sentiment, you can find the bearish reversal and vice versa. So I'm just expressing my thoughts. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pinpoint that, but I'm trying kind of to tune in into that vibration. So thank you guys, and see you next Thursday. In the meantime, if you want to check our work and become our members or have a trial, visit Trading Analysis website and our customer support Nick, which is in Ukraine. We are a very fond of Nick, and question always asking him. He just got a baby, and he's in the part of the Ukraine which is not affected, fortunately. So shout out to Nick and his effort still to work very hard as a customer support for trading analysis, and he will take care of you to get you into the Discord, and he will send you an email to show you all the content we have. So see you guys next week. Bye bye.